Graphic novel, fantasy, science fiction series. Hey girl, hey. So today I'm going to be talking about SAGA, which is a graphic novel, fantasy, science fiction series written by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This video in particular is going to be talking about the first 2 volumes. They're just called volume 1 and volume 2. I know you can buy them in like a bind up of like the first 4 volumes or something like that. So far I've only read the first 3 and this is my second time reading them. I read this one in December, then I read the second volume in January. So if you're not familiar with the SAGA series, it follows the main character, which the entire series is told from the perspective of who is a baby being born in the first page. She is being born, but the reason why it's being told is her parents are fugitives from the law. They are running around space trying to get away from the authorities and just government officials. But the reason why they're being hunted down is because they are feuding species in space. They're not the same species. She's from a planet called, I don't remember, it's something like Fang or the Clave, whatever. And basically she lives on the planet, and then there are people living on the moon of this planet, and that's what he is. And they're like magical and they speak a different language, and basically the 2 species have been at war for years and years and years and years and years and years, and are currently at war with each other out in outer space. So they were both in a prison. I think he was arrested and she was his like officer in the prison, and they ended up falling in love and having the baby. And the whole series is from the baby's perspective of them just running around space trying not to get arrested and killed. So it's a ton of fun. There are a lot of fun characters in this, let me tell you. It's really funny. It is extremely, extremely, extremely funny. The humor in it is just out of this world. It's gorgeous. Like, let me show you my favorite page in the first volume. Like, look at this. It's honestly like the prettiest graphic novel I've ever read. It's really bright, fun colors. It's gorgeous. It's honestly a really gorgeous series. Like, even the front cover is just gorgeous. It's very entertaining, very action-packed. There's always some sort of fight going down, weapons being used, magic being cast. You're always learning something about the world and about the characters in general. The motives and the character building, as well as like the way they build the world around the characters, is very interesting because it's kind of all like, hey, this is what's happening now, this is where they came from, and now this is what's happening. And it's kind of like a backstory all of the time. I know in the second book you get like a look at the dad when he was a little kid and stuff like that. So you learn a lot, and it's constantly something's happening all of the time. It's very, very fast paced. You can literally read one of these in like an hour. At least that's usually what happens with me, because there are no pages, so I don't know how long it is, but it goes by so fast. It feels like you just watched a movie. And honestly, it has, if I could compare it to anything, I would say it has very strong Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, except even more adult. I would say this is definitely an adult series. It's very explicit in all forms of explicit. There's lots of violence, lots of sex, lots of language, lots of blood and gore, just lots of adult topics. All of the series is like obviously one story, so this just kind of introduces you to the characters and the situation and what their plans are as of now, as of running away. And then the second one kind of just keeps going, continues on where the last one leaves off. And this one is definitely a lot of like character developing and learning about the characters and where they came from and how these new characters are getting added into the story and all of that good stuff. There's also a lot of family dynamic issues throughout this book because obviously they are feuding species, so their families aren't gonna really get along very well. So that's a big plot line throughout the series so far. Also a lot of like the prejudice between the 2 sides and the 2 species is very prevalent all of the time. And it's very interesting to see like who lies where and who is what. So basically like one species has wings and the other one has horns, and that's kind of really the only difference besides the ones horned people people with horns that live on the moon, they also have magic and they speak a different language, which makes the wing people a little sketched out. They don't really know what's happening, so don't trust them. And like a lot of stories with this, I like that it's very easy to follow and very easy to understand, because I feel like they take aspects of everyday life in modern society and then twist it a little bit to make it fit the context of this story, whereas it could very easily like go in a completely different realm and we'd have to learn all of these new things that don't exist, so it's hard to remember because they're not actual things that we can relate to. So having a very easily explained, easily relatable book and story and characters and world in general is interesting and fun, and I love reading books like that. And honestly, just overall, this series has been amazing and I highly recommend it to, I would say, anybody over the age of like 15. Anybody in like high school could read it and it wouldn't be too much for them, but it just is a good story about family and sticking up for yourself and love, and with like a science fiction, a very amazingly done science fiction element to it. And I love it and I highly recommend it. These I both gave 5 out of 5 stars. I will be reading the 3rd book this month. So that's pretty much all I have to say. Check out my Instagram down below. Check out my Goodreads down below. I also have my Instagram for my bookmarks, my bookmark company down below if you want to look into that. I really appreciate everybody who watches. If you can like and subscribe to the video, that would be awesome. It really helps me out and really allows me to know what kind of videos you guys are interested in or looking for. Thank you so much for watching.